Today's presentation is on credit, and this is the one of my favorite classes to bring to you because you're going to learn so much about credit and how is why is credit utilized and why are we focusing so much on introducing you with credit. You would have a lot of questions, and I like to start my classes by asking you to if you have any questions, I don't mind that you interrupt me. I don't mind that you ask the question right there and then. You can also put it in the chat box, but if you like to make a comment, if you have a question right away, I like to answer your question right as we start the workshop. So let me go ahead and start the it's a credit workshop. And also a lot of you, if you are interested, we also have a drop-in. So we would have the drop-in. Julie had sent you the information. So for those of you that are interested in following up and dropping in in another appointment, then please feel free to join us. But today you're probably going to have a lot of questions after today's class, and you're probably going to want to address your credit and your credit issues. So I hope that you learn a lot, and then but I want this class to be interactive. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and start. Julie? Okay, here. Thank you so much. So improve your financial future, put bad credit behind you. And this is one thing that we're really trying to focus. And it's very important that the Iris Cantor-UCLA Women's Health through the Women's Health and Money at Work brings this class to you to really address the issues that are, there around women and credit. So by the end of the training, you will understand how poor credit can prevent you from doing certain things, that it's never too late to start to rebuild the good credit, and what information on a credit report is seen as a negative. So, and how to improve your credit. There's a lot of myths out there and that tells you about your credit, that keeps telling you that you are the credit is it's certain number is good, that having too many credit cards is good. So here you're going to learn all of the things that you keep hearing out, and you'll hear exactly what it's like to have good credit and what it takes. Thanks. Next. How can bad credit limit your life? And access to credit is essential for buying a home, right? So this is one of the things that we start with. It's like, why is credit important? Why do you need credit? Why do you need credit to in life? Some people say, well, I really am not interested in having credit because I like to buy everything in cash, right? Well, that is a good thing, to having not wanting to have credit, but also please know that it's essential when we try to buy big products, such as like buying a home, renting, buying a car, utility bills, when you want to start your utility bills, when you want to rent an apartment. I think some of you might have already learned by trying to obtain credit, by trying to get an apartment, by trying to turn on your utility bills, and you get denied, right? So the importance of having credit is important, that we understand that we need credit to be able to even turn on our utilities, to get an apartment, buying big articles, like big products, like buying a home, like renting a car, like buying a car. So these are the things that you really think need to focus on when thinking about credit. Next. So poor credit may hinder your ability to get a credit card, rent an apartment, start phone services, buy life insurance, and get a job. So I'm going to make some clarifications here. So to have credit, you need to have good credit to be able to get a credit card, right? You can have okay credit and still get a credit card. But the focus here in this class is, if we want to focus on why is it that you need to have good credit. because having okay credit means you can get a credit card, but you're gonna get a credit card at a very high interest rate. And our focus here is for you to have a credit card with low interest rate. Renting an apartment, when you go rent an apartment, if you don't have good credit, you're gonna have to get a cosigner. And if you don't have a cosigner, you're just, pretty much gonna get denied. Or if the landlord is willing to work with you, they might ask you for extra money for the deposit. Also, I want to make the clarification here too that when you rent an apartment, if you do get a cosigner, someone that would help you cosign for that apartment, they are 100% responsible for that lease. They're helping you sign. Or if you do it, it's vice versa. If you help someone co-sign for a credit card to rent an apartment, you are responsible for that debt. I really want you to think very hard before you offer your help, or you ask someone to help you to obtain any type of assistance to helping you with their credit. That person, I know it's a co-borrower, but they're 100% liable for that debt in case if they don't pay, if you don't pay. So be very careful with that. To start a phone service, to get a cell phone, you would have to have good credit, right? Also, or okay credit, depending on the company. But also, if you don't have that, they might ask you for an extra security deposit to obtain that cell phone. To buy life insurance, also, you would need in some states you would need to have good credit. To get a job in some states, and also some jobs like high security, they would run your credit to make sure that they said that your credit is it says a lot about the person. Also, I want to make this distinction here. When you get an apartment, when you rent an apartment, and you're gonna ask for credit, and they're gonna request a copy of your credit report to rent an apartment, to start your phone services, but they will not report it on the monthly basis. Example, so you rent an apartment in January, right? They pulled a copy of your credit report just to make sure that you are a person that they would want to rent you to, right? So then once you rent out the apartment, then you can't, then they would request a copy, but they will not report it on the monthly basis. So it would not show on your credit every month that you paid on time or that you didn't pay. However, if you leave the apartment with an outstanding balance, that would really show on your credit. That they would put an eviction on your credit report. If any of you know that anyone is trying to remove an eviction on your credit, guess what? It's very difficult. So that's why it's very important that we really work hard on trying to negotiate with the apartment owner, with the property management, so that we don't have that blemish on our credit. Because once we have that blemish, it's very hard to get rid of. Now, there's some cases where exception from some cases where the court actually helps you get rid of those evictions, but all case by case. I don't want to say, like, I don't want you to say Erica said that they can remove that. So it's on the case by case. And on our drop-ins, if anybody of you have any questions regarding evictions, you can we can talk about that. Also, right now, because of COVID, landlords are more willing to help you work out a payment plan with them. Also, the city has some sort of programs to help you with the rent. So please just look out. Communication with your renter is very important. So I think this is just trying to help you avoid getting any eviction on your credit, even on your credit cards too. Because of COVID-19, one thing that Money Women's work is helping you is that we're trying to help you address all this like financial issues that arise. So the credit card, if you're falling behind on your payments and you can't pay them right now, you can communicate with your lender. They can talk to you to do a forbearance on your credit card bill. So it's important for you to really understand that there's help out there. But the direct communication with your lender, with your creditor, with your landlord, to help you make a payment plan, to help you make an arrangement. please know that if you do communicate with them, they cannot report you late on the credit. They will not report you, but you also need to ask that you need to have a call log, and then have, like I always tell people, go to the 99-cent store and buy buy a notebook, and put a like a journal, right? Today I spoke to Capital One, and they told me that they were gonna give me a 3-month forbearance. That it started January 1st, 2021, and it'll end in my first pay, I have to pay back in April, right, or May. So just keep those call logs, because it's very important who you spoke to, what time, so that you also have a reference in case if they mark you late. But it's important for you to know that right now, if you have if you work at a payment plan or anything, they will not mark you late. Okay, so please make sure that you know that, and then you have the right now through the CARES Act, they're able to help you. So I don't want any of you to be stressing out about I can't make my payment. So how do you know if you have bad credit, right? So that's one of the things that we kind of learned the hard way about credit, and most of our clients that come to us and are interested in buying a home, they're interested in, or buying a home or buying a product, anything, they get rejected, and they say, well, I have bad credit, so now I want to start working on my credit. So I hope that most of you, that's not your case. I hope that most of you are here because you really want to learn about credit. But in case if you know that how you have, you learn that you have bad credit when you get rejected by your credit cards, by the landlord, they can't rent you the apartment, they'll give you a credit card with a very high interest rate. That's also a sign that you already have troubles with credit, right? So it's important for you to really start working on your credit before we get rejected, before we find the hard way that we have bad credit, right? Next. So you have the right to see a copy of your credit report. This is very important for all of you to know, okay? So that once a year, you have the right to a free credit report through annualcreditreport.com. And you can request it through annualcreditreport.com. It used to be once a year before COVID-19. During COVID-19, you have the right to see your credit report once a week through the 3 major credit bureaus, and we will tell you about 3 major credit bureaus. But through the annual credit report, you have to go credit bureau by credit bureau to request your copy of your credit report. Also, right now, with Experian, you have the right to your credit report and your FICO score. So I would highly recommend that if you're interested in pulling your credit report, I'm going to type it in the chat box. Experian.com, and then go there directly to Experian.com, and you will have access to the copy of your credit report and your FICO score, and it's FICO model FICO 8. It's the most accurate FICO score. And also, one of the why it's important to review a copy of a credit report. We want to make sure that everything that is on your credit, it belongs to you and nobody else. So I really can't stress enough how important it is for you to review your credit report. It's not only just to check what your FICO score is, what is like on your credit, but you need to make sure that everything that is on your credit report belongs to you. What is on your credit report? On your credit report, we're gonna have your names, first and last name. We're gonna have your phone numbers, the phone numbers you utilize. We're gonna have all the credit information that if you have any credit cards, they would be there on your credit. Inquiries. Who has requested a copy of your credit report? So it's important for you to know that no one can request a copy of your credit report without your permission. So I think this is why it's very important that when you review your credit report and you request a copy of your credit report, you make sure that you review them very carefully, because any information on your credit report that does not belong to you or that doesn't seem correct, we can address it and we can dispute it. So meaning, like, if your name doesn't, you have an extra last name that is actually not really your last name, you need to make sure that you report that as a disputed with your credit bureaus, to make sure that they know that example, my name is Erica Toriz, right? If I see Erica Martinez, and I would report that Martinez because that's not my name, my last name, right? Phone numbers, any phone numbers that it doesn't match your credit report, also you can dispute it. Accounts and account balances. Through the presentation, you're going to learn why account balances are important and why we're focusing on having on the balances, and why it's important to reflect and to report to the credit bureaus if any of the credit balances does not match what you know or what information you have. Now, if there are accounts on your credit that do not belong to you, also you need to make sure that you report it, because why? If there's an account showing, let's see, example, you have an account with Citibank. If you never requested a Citibank account, guess what? You have the right to dispute that because it's not your account. If you have a collection account that it doesn't belong to you, then you have the right not only to dispute it, but also to put an alert on your credit. So here we're giving you, we want to make sure that your finances actually match whatever you have requested. There are yours that belong to you. Thanks. Next. What is a credit report? So a credit report, like we said, it's a record of your past and present loans and credit accounts. Like we said here, I'm going to go back to the example I gave you with your rent, right? When the property management with your apartment complex, when the landlord, when they requested a copy of a credit report, they requested a copy of your credit report, and it's going to show as an inquiry, right? Remember I said no one can request a copy of your credit report without your consent. And the reason why I keep stressing this and I keep mentioning it is because, you know, most of the credit reports we review, some people get concerned because they always find a company that has requested a credit report without their consent. Again, the reason why no one can request a copy without your consent. Also, please know that when anybody requests a copy of your credit report, you have to be careful, because if it's for credit, if you're trying to obtain credit, your credit score may drop and will drop like from 8 to 12 points if they're requesting credit on your behalf, or in case if you have been the person that has requested credit, and then you go to I'm going to put an example, you go to a department store, let's go to Target, right? And then you request credit with Target. When you submit that application and they're offering you that credit because they're giving you like, oh, I'm giving you a 20% discount if you take the credit card today and you're going to save big, you put the application in, that's a hit on your credit. So remember, when you're going to request credit to a creditor, you need to make sure that you actually really need the credit, not because you just want to get that discount, right? Does anybody have any questions right now? Any questions, any comments? Please put them in the chat box. Because I know that right now I'm going a little, it's a lot of information. So I want to make sure that all your questions get addressed, okay? Next. Thank you. So again, on your credit report, we said you have your credit cards, mortgages, loans. Your credit report has information about your credit accounts you've had in the past 7 years or in the past 10 years if you file for bankruptcy. So here I'm going to explain to you a little bit about this, right? So your credit card information will appear in your credit report, any mortgages, any car loans. Also, information that accounts that you have, you know, whether they were collection accounts. What is a collection account? After when you defaulted on the credit card and the credit card payment, and it became a collection. So normally they would say from 7 to 10 years. After 7 years, a collection account will be removed from your credit. But pay attention here, because not all the time they just go away. So there's times that we request clients credit and the accounts are still there, even though they're more than 7 years old. So in that case, we would have to contact the creditors and let them know that this account have to be removed from the credit because they're more than 7 years old. These are accounts that default default, that they have already defaulted. But also be very careful, because a lot of people say, well, okay, well, I'm going to wait until my accounts are more than 7 years old so that they can just be removed from my credit. Well, number one, you have to review your credit to make sure that they will be removed after the 7 years. And number two, be very careful, because some of the creditors, and I don't want to scare you, but I really do want to kind of give you a tip on that. Some of the creditors may sue you before the statute of limitation, which in California is 4 years. So some of the creditors might sue you for their to get their money back. Which means that there's a process of when this happens, right? They have to serve you just like any lawsuit. They can't just leave that information at your neighbors, because then you would have you would not know that there's a lawsuit. But I want to educate you on this a little bit, because even if the creditors sue you, that doesn't mean that they're going to take you to jail, or the judge is going to put you in jail. So that would never happen. What the judge will do, they would just make you repay the debt. But the most important thing is that, like with everything in life, right? Especially your finances, we have to address our finances. If we're having trouble, we need to start working on setting up a budget. We need to start by like addressing the root of the problem. In this case, if we're getting sued, and if the creditor sues, like they do the suit properly, and then so we show up to court, we let the judge know that we are not, especially right now, there's not a lot of lawsuits happening since COVID started. But before COVID, we were seeing some lawsuits from big creditors. Like if you owe like over $2,500 balances, some of the creditors, even some of the collection agencies will sue you. But again, you won't go to jail. And the best thing to do is just to show up and to address the problem, because otherwise, if you don't show up, then you're showing negligence on your case, right? So again, it's important to always address our issues. It's so important to always understand that we have a problem, and especially with our finances. One of the biggest stressors in life is finances, and not having our credit, our budget in place, like not having money to enough to pay our bills, enough to it could be a big stressor in our lives. So I just want you to make sure that we start thinking about all of with our credit and just overall our finances, right? So you may have to address it with the credit bureaus if the account is if the collection account is more than 7 years old, so they'll be able to remove it. I says right here, I want to touch on the bankruptcy, right? Does anybody have any questions on collection accounts? Any comments, anything? Or you can always leave your questions for when we do the drop in. I can answer more of your questions if you don't like to share with everyone in class. So just let me know. I'll put it in the chat box. Maybe you can raise your hand or just unmute yourselves if you have any questions, okay? Before we go to the next slide, I want to make sure that I go over the 10-year of the bankruptcy, right? So we have two types of bankruptcy, Chapter 13 and Chapter 7. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is the one that it's most utilized, and it wipes out all your debt, right? 100% your debt. Well, you have to be careful, because once you file bankruptcy, you have to make sure that your attorney puts all the credit cards that you owe on the bankruptcy, right? It says that it stays on your credit for up to 10 years, right? But I believe in second chances. I believe that everyone has a second chance to revamp their lives. So I think it's important that you understand that we do have a second chance. And because although it may seem like, oh my God, I'm going to go bankrupt and this is going to stay hindered for 10 years. Well, I want you also to know that this is a second opportunity that you're getting, right? There's times that we have medical bills, that we have, collections accounts, that we actually didn't learn how to manage our money, and we went overboard, and now we have this big debt. Well, it's important for you to know that although it stays in your credit for 10 years, after 3 months of your bankruptcy being discharged, you already start getting offers from creditors, and the creditors start wanting to give you credit. But we need to learn from our mistake, right? If we were if we were late on our if we couldn't manage our debt, it is a second chance to for us to start to giving us a second opportunity to take advantage of it second time around. Let's work out a budget. Let's not overspend. So I really think that you have a second opportunity. Also, another, but I don't want to tell you this good thing so that you can say, okay, let's just go bankrupt, right? I'm just telling you so that you don't get scared about a bankruptcy. After 3 years of a bankruptcy being discharged, you can get a house, you can obtain a home loan with an FHA home loan. It's a government loan. So so think about it. Even though it stays on your credit for 10 years, you still have a chance to buy a home after 3 years. You still have a time to rebuild your credit. But I think a big lesson to be learned, just like it is with, in life or finances, let's not take it lightly. That let's not spend more than we really can afford. And I think that's one of the critical things here. We are going to obtain credit cards, but the worse our credit is, the higher the interest rate we're going to have to pay we pay a price for having bad credit. This is why it's very critical and important for you to participate in classes like this, because we want to make sure that we are not when we're obtaining credit, we're obtaining credit responsibly, and that we're really ready to obtain to get credit. Credit is not free money, so think about it. In the bankruptcy, like I said, it's a second chance for you to start all over again. But also be very careful, because a lot of people say, well, I have $5,000 in credit card debt and I just can't do it. I'm gonna just go bankrupt. Well, if you really think about it, you owe $5,000, and if you can't talk to your creditor, negotiate to pay, I have a $1,000 credit card bill. Can I offer you 300, especially if you're already late, to help me get rid of this debt? And some creditors, I'm telling you, if you talk to them, they have programs where they can help you. And if you can't talk to them, you also have organizations that can help you at no cost to do it for you. But remember, you have to be very careful who you trust, because not anybody can do it. But I just want to make sure, again, that you don't just go bankrupt because of $5,000, because of $10,000, when you could have reduced that debt for less than the amount owed. So thank you. Next. And I'm telling you, don't be shy of asking questions, okay? So remember here, if you have been denied credit in the past 600 days, 60 days, you can get a free copy of your credit report. You also have the right to correct errors in your credit report. You can't remove accurate information in your credit report. That's something that I really want to warn you. Be very careful, because there's a lot of scrupulous people out there. They can tell you, oh, let me remove this from your credit. Let me help you raise your score 100 points. Some people sometimes come to our organization to help them with their credit, and establish credit and rebuild their credit. And they say, well, I want to fix my credit in 30 days. Well, unfortunately, this is a behavior that we have to, change. Unfortunately, I can't do miracles, and I can't do change the numbers just because I would love to help you increase your credit score, but it may take us a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. There's clients that we've been working for over 3-4 years. So please think about it, that this is something that if you defaulted on a credit card, then we have to address that with your creditor. But it's not something that we can just send a letter and remove it from your credit. So it takes time, and having good credit also takes time. There's a lot of factors about credit, so we can't just no one can just know it's anybody's promising you that they're going to fix your credit right away. They're lying to you, and especially if they're charging you for this, please don't believe that. Next. Thanks. So here it is. So the credit bureaus. Who are the credit bureaus? These are the 3 major credit bureaus, and I really want to really make a I want to help you understand how the credit bureaus work, okay? And these are the 3 major credit bureaus, and I always tell people that try to remember who they are, because these are the 3 major credit bureaus, right? We have over 400, but those are the most utilized: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I mentioned, and I put it on the chat box, that right now Experian, because of the pandemic, up until April 12, they're giving you your credit report and your credit score. hours. So please take advantage so you see what's on your credit. Now, we have these are the three major credit bureaus. Please understand this and pay attention to this, okay? So the credit bureaus don't communicate with each other. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion have to, they may have the same information from your creditors. They may have different, and I'll explain to you why. So on here, we have, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I'm gonna make an example, okay? So let's see, Maria Osegueda. I see your name on the Zoom. So Maria is trying to get, I'm gonna say, a credit card, right? With let's see, Bank of America. So Maria has that credit card with Bank of America, and then she's going to say, she's going to Bank of America. She's gonna pick up she's gonna fill out an application, and she's going to fill out her application. Now here, Bank of America takes the application from Maria, and now what they're going to do, with this application, they're gonna send it to the credit bureaus. Please listen to this. So they can send it to the three major credit bureaus, or they can choose to send it to one, two, or all of them. So in this case, I'm going to give you an example, just an example, because I don't know who Bank of America used, right? And in this example with Maria's application, they're going to send her application to Equifax, and they're going to send her application to Experian. So meaning that now Equifax has the application from Bank of America from Maria, and then they have it, and then Experian has an application from Bank of America for Maria. They're going to generate, Equifax and Experian, a credit report. So the credit report that Equifax is gonna regenerate the credit report, and they're gonna send it back to Bank of America. Experian is gonna generate a credit report from Maria, and they're going to send it to Bank of America. So here we have two companies, Equifax and Experian, credit bureaus, that they're going to send their application to Bank of America, Maria's application, and they're going to say, Equifax, this is based on what we have on Maria's credit report, credit cards, car loans, mortgage, right? Experian is going to send the same report. It's going to send, their report. The report may be different because they don't share the same information, right? Now, based on the credit reports that Bank of America received from Maria, they're going to determine whether they're going to give Maria credit. So in this example, I'm going to say, oh, Maria has really good credit, right? So based on this, now they're going to say, okay, Maria, based on your Equifax, you have good credit. And based on Experian credit report, you have, your credit is almost the same, right? So in this case, they're going to give Maria a credit card for, let's see, $1,000. So now Bank of America made the decision to extend Maria credit. They're going to now send that information back to Equifax and to Experian. So you see here that TransUnion has nothing to do with, they had no idea that anything was going on with Maria's credit application. So the lender chooses to pick the three credit bureaus. They choose to pick two, one, or they can do all of them. So you see do you see the example? So I really hope that with this examples that I'm giving you, I really hope for you to understand how the credit bureaus and what the difference of the creditors. So the creditors are not the ones holding and collecting your information, right? The creditors are the ones that are reporting the information about how Maria, now they're going to report to Equifax and Experian. If Maria, okay, now Maria has $1,000 credit with us. Okay, now it's the beginning of the year, January. Maria made her payment on time, and Maria has a balance of, out of her $1,000, she has $300. So now they're going to send the credit limit, and they're going to send the how much Maria's balance is, and if she pays every month on time. If she doesn't pay on time, then they're going to say 30 days late, right? Experian 30 days late. In this case, TransUnion has nothing to do with this. They have no idea what's going on with Maria's credit report, right? credit information about this bank account, this credit card with Bank of America, credit card with Bank of America. Any questions on this? I have a very quiet group today. So here it is. So we spoke to you about credit bureaus, who holds your credit information. Now we're going to talk to you about credit scores. So credit scores, we go from excellent, good, fair, poor, and very good. So in this case, I want you to think and then picture this and maybe take a screenshot of this, because I really want you to start thinking about what do you want your credit to look like, where you're at right now. And if you don't know where you're at with your credit scores, I really want you to start thinking that we need to start thinking about what is the credit score that I want to have. Where do I want to, where am I today? It doesn't have to determine where I want to be tomorrow. So I really want you to put one of your financial goals is to, if you haven't reviewed your credit reports, to review your credit report. Second is to get to what is your goal on having or where you want to have your credit scores. So I'm going to pick somebody from the audience. If you just don't want to participate, just that's okay. Jocelyn Velador, do you want to participate? Okay, I think Jocelyn is very quiet. Okay, I'm going to give you an example here. So we had a client in our last session that her credit score was, I think she said she was in the 400s, right? And she says, but I really want, she's like, I had no idea what the number was to have a credit score. What was the highest? What was the middle? What was, so she had no idea where she wanted to be with her credit. Wow, that's really good. Thank you, Araceli. That's very, 701 is good. Is that with what credit bureau?
Last time I got it, I believe it was Experience.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good.
From Citibank.
Oh, you know what? That's excellent. Excellent tools. And I'm going to talk to you guys about tools, about different options to review your credit. So that's excellent. If you already, also, you know what, credit wise, and I'm going to put it on the chat box. Credit wise, you can get your credit wise, you can get your TransUnion, okay, credit report. So that way you have some tools to go on your to also see your TransUnion credit report. Also, it's free. Remember I said that that every time they request your credit report, you have every time they request your credit report, your credit score drops. But because it is directly to with the credit bureaus or is for educational purpose only, it doesn't affect your credit. So don't be alarmed and say, oh, Erica told me not to ask, have them review my credit score. Credit wise, through your bank, also it doesn't take a hit on your credit. Okay, so thank you. Oh, thank you, Jocelyn. So this is why you're here to apply for. Perfect. Thank you. So, you know, I've never seen anything below 350. I am so happy you participated in the chat. So I really appreciate all of you. Maria says 840. Oh my God, Maria. Oh, Maria, you learned the hard way. May I share your comment? Well, everybody can see it, right? Okay. So one of the things, and I like to bring the example here in class is the buying a car. So when you buy a car, you have to be very careful because we go to the car dealer and what we do, we fill out an application. At the bottom of that application, it has a little box that says you are allowing the car dealer to send your application to our creditors of choice. It says creditors of choice. So be very careful when you say creditors of choice because they can send it up to as many creditors as they want. We've had clients that we have worked with them to help them increase their credit score. The score got to 720, coming from 5 in the low 500s. They go to the car dealer and they request a copy of their credit report and they send it to like 4 or 5 creditors. Their credit score, imagine every time they run your credit, I'm gonna say 10 points each, 50 points. How many times has they, by then requesting a copy of your credit report, your credit score can start going down. So my advice to you before you go obtain a car loan, you go to your bank before you buy a car, right? The lenders are your bank that they can give you the loan, and then you go to the car dealer so that they can sell you the car. You come prepared already with the loan, especially if you're already working on your credit and you know that you're going to get to a good credit score. You just have your one lender or your credit union obtain the loan from there. So but that's a great choice. So I want you guys to picture, I really want you to picture where you want to be with your credit score. This will be part of your financial goals. Ideally, I would like to be at excellence. I'm not there yet, but I'm working towards that. So I have a plan. And, I started this class in January. The first class that we did, I said, we start the beginning of the year. Let's start planning on working on our credit, right? This would be my goals for the year. Well, I think it doesn't have to be the first of the month or the first of the year to be able to start putting our financial goals. I really want you to start thinking that this is my financial goal to get to that green green number, right? To get over 700. Why I'm telling you that it's very important to have a good credit, because the better your credit, the better access to lower interest rate credit cards, car loans, buying a mortgage loan, and then can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars by having good credit. So this is why I really put a lot of effort on this slide to make sure that it helps you. Next. So collection agencies, we talked about collection agencies. If you don't pay a debt, the company you owe money might hire a collection agency. Collection agencies get a cut out of the debt they collect. So that's why I said, if you have a $5,000 credit card bill, and you say that you want to go bankrupt, when those accounts are already in collection, you have the leeway to negotiate and pay them for offer pennies to the dollar. For every $100 you pay, you settle for 35% of the debt. So please be aware of that. Next. What you do if a collection agency calls you. So this is why it's important for us to do this, because we had clients that were harassed by collection agencies. So they were harassed and they were like, they insulted them. They called them before certain hours. So you respond immediately if you don't agree that you owe money. You ask a collection agency to prove that you owe the money. Don't ever give them your social security. That's the mistake you're making if you do that, because they're supposed to have information on you. A collection agency can't try to collect the debt while it's validated or being checked out. So like if we send out dispute letters or anything like that, they cannot try to collect. They have to stop any collection efforts that they have. So you have to know your rights. Next. Collection agencies must provide you with the amount of debt, the name of the original creditor, and notification that you have 30 days to dispute the debt. Next. Stop hassling me. I mean, you can tell them that legally you can't ask the collection agency to back off. So you put it in writing. You are still responsible for paying the legitimate debt. You may be losing an opportunity to explain your situation and resolve the debt. So you have, please, like, think the most important thing here is like knowing your rights and knowing this information that you can actually let them know. Stop harassing me, stop calling me, and keep going. So can collection agencies call your neighbors? So collectors may contact any third party, such as your neighbor. They can, your neighbor, relative, or coworker, only one time. And they can't say that they can only call to confirm or correct information about where you're at. They can't tell the third party that you owe them debt. The reason why we're bringing this up is because it has been growing, the amount of clients that have been telling us that their collection agencies are calling their neighbors and telling them about their debt. So that is violation of your rights. Next. So rebuilding good credit. So next, please. Rebuilding good credit. It's never too late to start getting your credit back on track. We said where you want to be. I already, mentioned to you as far as your credit score. You already know where you're at and where you want to be. Next. How long will it take to rebuild good credit? Again, it takes time, especially depending case by case. Each person's situation is different, and lenders may have wide-ranging requirements. So just know that if you're struggling right now with your credit, it's not going to be something that we're going to be able to fix quickly. It may take time, but please know that it can be done. So I think that it's important for you to also establish your goals and know that there's a timeline. That know that I believe that after this class, you probably know that you can't just do a quick fix, right? Next, please. How much damage has been done to your credit? So a few late payments might be downplayed if you may pay on time for several months. A default or bankruptcy may be more difficult to put behind you. Next, please. What are some ways to rebuild your good credit? So paying your existing credit cards on time, apply for credit card or small loans from your bank, your credit union, or local department store. Some of you are putting on the chat box, on the chat, that you don't have credit. So if you don't have credit, I think a good way to start your credit is go to your bank and get a secure credit card. You're borrowing against your own money, but that's a good way to start rebuilding credit. There's some credit cards that would give you, even if you have low credit score, they start you with a very low credit limit. I think before we have 2 minutes before 3 o'clock, but I want to give you a big tip here, and something that you have to be very careful. Those of you that have credit cards, or if you will be getting credit cards, your credit limit, you always want to keep your credit limit under 35% of the credit limit. Example, if you have a credit limit of 1,000, right? So $1,000. Let me see. I have to do the math. Can you believe this? 35% of 1,000, $350. You can go over $350 if you're trying to have, if you're aiming to have good credit score and to have good credit, you need to keep your balances under 35%. All the credit cards. Let's see, you obtain a credit card for $200. You have to keep that that limit under those 35% of $200, because the money that the credit that you're leaving unused helps you rebuild, raise your credit score. So please, a lot of people make this mistake. This is why I'm stressing this right now. Keep every credit card under 35%. So we're down to the hour. Okay, I'm gonna get okay, someone says, how do we get walk-in drop-in appointment with you? Thank you, Araceli. So any of you that want to do the drop-ins, Julie will be sending you information so that you come in and we get a one-on-one session with me, so that we can help you address your individual credit. So I know it's kind of hard to share, but thank you a lot of you that share. That Maria says Chia was 840. Okay, we address your credit. I use my line of credit on my home. Maria, that's a very good idea to do when you're trying to buy a car. It's very important. I give you a few tips credit-wise, TransUnion. Also, if you have AAA, you can see your Experian credit report. I think that Chase gives you Experian credit report. Equifax is not very utilized much, but you can go directly to Equifax and get your credit scores as well. And I'm telling you, try to take advantage right now, especially because of the pandemic, with Experian, at least to see your credit report. Now, if you have any type of credit issues right now that you are having difficulties addressing, I will be more than happy to help you on a drop-in. Remember, this class is mainly to help you address your financial future. So part of this effort in today's class is that to help you get to a better financial situation, and whatever we can do to help you out. We have the 1 hour drop-in next time, but if you need more of our time, please let us know. Please know that you are here, that we're here to help you as much as we can. So with that, I'm going to leave all of you, and then Julie will be contacting you for the one-on-one drop-in, and where you have time to one-on-one discuss any questions that you have with us. Any questions before we leave?